All right, it is officially 11 o'clock. Welcome to How It Works, a deeper dive into on-demand labor with Field Nation. My name is Ted Shirk. I am a solutions engineer here at Field Nation. And what I do is I work with our clients to help them be successful on the platform through training, continuing education, and implementation of best practices. Let's start with what is Field Nation? Well, Field Nation, we are a bridge that allows companies to connect to and execute work through our massive online marketplace of contingent labor. We're in the business of helping companies solve the problem of sourcing skilled field technicians, doing it quickly as well as locally. Why? Why do we do this? Well, currently there are over 700,000 open IT jobs in the United States. 40,000 field service technician jobs have been posted. Well, what's the problem we solve? Well, we help solve the cost, quality, time squeeze conundrum. We hear over and over again, getting my W-2 technicians there quickly, cost effectively is getting harder and harder to do every day. Gas is $4 and $5 a gallon, all of those things. We've tried subcontractors. I don't know enough about them and their employees' capabilities. What are my control mechanisms when I use subcontractors? Those kinds of things. Well, here at Field Nation, we've done our homework on making skilled IT technicians available to you. There's over 1 million work orders per year that are executed on the platform. We've got coverage in every zip code in the United States, an 8-minute average response time in major cities from technicians. And all of this comes at a 98% success rate. This is the call to action that has come to all of us. The entire labor force has changed. To increase the number of successful outcomes in service, there must be a shift to include labor from all three categories: W-2s, subcontractors, and on-demand labor in order to increase that geographic coverage, adjust to the fluctuating workloads, increase the service availability, and reduce labor costs. And what will be the result of all of that? Increased revenue, increased profits. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about how to find technicians, some work order creation basics, the fundamental life cycle of a work order. How does a work order flow through the system that is Field Nation, and finding those trusted and quality technicians. So let's go ahead and take a look at the platform. This is Market Smart Insights. What Market Smart Insights is a flagship feature on the platform designed to help you plan for your upcoming work. So as we get started, I'm going to let you know a couple of terms that you're going to hear me use a few times. The first is that of a buyer. The buyer is the person or company that is purchasing services from the marketplace. The buyer is the person who has control of the entire process as well as the outcomes. The other side of the equation is the provider, the technician, the independent contractor or service company performing the work. This is the group of almost 50,000 independent contractors and service companies, employees to choose from. So you are a project manager. You are looking at an RFQ for a retailer in the Northeast that requires some POS work to take place and take place quickly. Here's how Field Nation can help you achieve a successful outcome on this project. In this RFQ situation, MSI, Market Smart Insights, will help you bid more comfortably and confidently, competitively, taking out the guesswork. We'll help you improve the win rates because you can confidently fulfill your clients' needs. Also, Market Smart Insights will help you look at coverage and pricing. How's that going to help you? Well, it's going to help you protect your margins. It's going to help you access a highly localized pay rate, as well as achieve a higher fulfillment rate. So let's take a look at Market Smart Insights and how this is going to help you with that project in the Northeast. Well, first of all, we're going to start looking for our type of work, which is point of sale. We're going to keep it general right now because you can see that we do have the ability to get fairly specific with our tasks that we're looking for this particular provider to accomplish for us. So we'll start with a generic search of point of sale, and as well as we're going to start with a national search across the United States that is going to tell us that in this search, that over the last 12 months, we're looking at the historical data of the work orders on the platform that tell us that there have been over 9,500 providers who have accomplished over 100,000 work orders at an average pay rate of $55.07 per hour. I'm looking at a heat map that is telling us where those providers are located in clusters, of course, to give us that base information as to what we are looking at for the coverage and pricing available technicians and how much it's going to cost us to get that work done. Now, we've got additional filters here that are going to help us get more specific. Now, I'm currently looking at this data over the last 12 months. We're all familiar with what's happened with fuel prices over the past year, and we can even get more specific and chase this date down to 2 or 3 or 4 or 6 months, whichever we see as the relevant time period that we want to take a look at. We can also either close in on a radius or move out on a radius, depending upon how far we want to look in or out as to the relative proximity of the work order. Do we have a work order that's taking place in a more rural area that we might need to search out a little bit further than the 60 miles to be able to find a higher number of qualified technicians available? Service tech, let's get specific on what's going to happen on this work order. What are they going to be doing on site? What did they do? Did they install? Did they replace? Also, filters that are going to tell us more about the particular providers available. Do they have the screens that we want? Are there particular keywords that will tell us more about our work order, as well as other filters, again, that can surround the work orders themselves or the providers to get us more specific to the needs and desires that we have about this work order and the providers that are going to be available to us to get this accomplished. Well, this is all great, Ted, great information. I've got some availability here, but you mentioned a work order taking place in the Northeast. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the Northeast, because with Market Smart Insights, I have the ability to enter a specific site list that has specific addresses of particular, even retail locations. In this case, I've got 23 locations here in the Northeast, which are called up by the green dots. Now, I know the first thing you're going to notice is you're going to say, here's our list of providers. Boy, I've got someone out in Oregon, those in California, Oklahoma, Texas, etc. What's going on here? Well, the fact of the matter is, this list of providers that were called out from these 23 locations have, in fact, accomplished work under this particular filter set within 60 miles of this location in the last 12 months. Providers do travel, or they've relocated in the last 12 months. So now I've got a more regional pricing model that's going to take into account my locations. In these 23 locations, I've got 1,617 qualified providers, did over 22,000 work orders at an average rate of $57 per hour. Not much different than that national average we can see. Again, great information, Ted. What do I do with it? Well, what you do with it is you go ahead and you export that information into a spreadsheet. When you export that information to a spreadsheet, you are going to get the individual pricing data for each one of those particular locations, and it's going to look a little bit like this, so that I can see that my average rate in Springfield, Massachusetts is $61.53 per hour versus an hourly rate in Wayne, New Jersey of $55.52 per hour. Now, that's going to help you protect your margins. That's going to help you make more money. So the beautiful part of taking this particular exported spreadsheet with that information is that can become a spreadsheet that you, in fact, import back into the platform to be able to create those work orders with that individual pricing. Pretty cool, pretty effective use of the tool. Well, now that we know that we've got an ample supply of technicians to take care of this work order, let's take a look at how we get a work order ready for the platform. How do work orders get to the platform? Well, work orders get to the platform in a couple of different ways. Work orders get to the platform via integration, my apologies, via mass import, and through individual creation. Now, we talk about integration. This means we're simply integrated with another external ticketing service system, for example, like FieldPoint, ServiceNow, Salesforce, one of those types of examples. Or we do a mass import, like those 23 sites that we just exported from the Market Smart Insights, and get those to the platform in bulk because we, of course, are built to work efficiently at scale. So once we've decided how we're going to get those work orders to the platform, whether that is via integration, mass import, or in fact, individual creation, let's take a look at what happens when we create those work orders. Well, the platform is built around efficiency and scale. So how do we do that with efficiency and scale? Well, we have some tools. The first of which that helps with that efficiency and scale is going to be the use of templates. What are templates? Templates are a tool that will help you pre-populate all of those redundant details to be able to create those hundreds to thousands of work orders with very few clicks of the mouse. Templates are going to help you with the accuracy as well as the consistency of those work orders. Become the buyer of choice. You're building a reputation with every work order that you create. You create a title of that work order, letting the providers know what they're going to need to be doing. Then we're going to take a look at those work categories, meaning this is how we're going to start to match the provider to the work, telling them what it is, the type of work, what they're going to be doing on site, what particularly they're going to be working with when they get there. We're going to use some work order qualifications to tell them what they're going to need to have with them in order to be successful on the platform. What tools will they need to have with them? If they're going to need a ladder, we're going to let them know that they need a ladder with them. Again, prepare for successful outcomes. We're going to keep the private stuff private. For example, the location, the exact location of where the work order is to take place is not going to be seen by the requesting providers. Only by the assigned provider who's going to see the exact location. Flexible scheduling options are available for you and the provider as well, meaning that we can tell them to come at a specific date and time, a particular work between specific hours, meaning range, think business hours, or any time. If in fact you've got work that's to take place at a 24-hour site, hospital, hotel, 24-hour ATM, and the like. Contacts are the same as that of the locations, meaning keep the private stuff private. Only the assigned provider is going to see that information. Now, the service description is where we get to tell the provider what they're going to be doing on site. This is your scope of work. This is part of the legal and binding contract between you and the provider. We also have the ability to share documents with those providers. Again, custom sign-off sheets, manuals, schematics, and the like that's going to help them be successful on the site. Set that task list, the electronic checklist that lets them know exactly what needs to be done when they get there. This is the milestones, the deliverables for them to take care of once they get on site. Check that off. Gives you real-time visibility of what's going on, know what's happening on the site. Custom fields, we allow you to collect that custom information relevant to your business, as well as specifics from the provider about the job. Model numbers, serial numbers, number of units, those types of things. We offer multiple payment options depending upon the requirements of the work, as well as other automation features available to further your experience. Now that we've completed the creation of work order, let's go ahead and follow that work order from its path, follow its path from creation to complete satisfaction. This is the flight board. The flight board is the home page, the main screen, the dashboard, base of operations, if you will. The flight board lets you see what stage in the process the work orders are in. It's easily visible, allows you to gain that confidence. It's built for efficiency and scale. Gives you that effective management of those work orders. It's a life cycle that's easy to understand. It's transparent as well as reportable. So every work order starts out in the draft status. A drafted work order is a fully or partially created work order that has not yet been sent to the marketplace. This is for your team, visible to your team only. It's where you make your edits. You're not quite ready. You haven't gotten the final word from your end client. Once a work order is ready to be deployed to the marketplace, it's done so via publishing or routing. Publishing a work order means that it is sent to the marketplace. It becomes visible to the providers. Once it becomes visible to the providers, they have the ability to read that work order, decide if they are qualified, interested, and available. And if so, they can electronically raise their hand and request that work order. Or as a buyer, you have the ability to route that work order to a specific or group of specific providers that you have worked with before, you have a history with, you've built a relationship with them, you are comfortable and confident with the work that they would do on that particular work order for you. Once you have chosen a provider, and again, remember, you, the buyer, are always in charge of choosing that provider, the work order moves to the assigned status. This is the work stage of the work order. This is where the work takes place. Our providers typically execute the work orders in our native iOS and Android apps. These applications allow your team real-time visibility, comfort, confidence, know what's happening, know when it's happening. Thousands of miles away, you're in your office, they're on the site, you can see that they've checked in on time, on site. You can see the photos that they've given you on time, on site. Once a provider has accomplished all of the deliverables, all of the milestones relating to the work order, they can mark the work order complete. Once they have marked the work order complete, the work order becomes part of the done status. Once a work order is done, this is where your team reviews the work order. Make sure that you've got all of those pieces of information that you need for your end client. Upon review, everything is wonderful. Every task has been complete. All of the photos are great. You're happy with what has been accomplished on site. Your team gets to go ahead and mark that work order approved, at which point the provider is paid by Field Nation on your behalf. Again, work orders created, sent to the marketplace. A provider is chosen by you, the buyer. Work order is executed, completed, approved, provider is paid. Now, a couple of other Flightboard features that are here that are going to help you effectively manage that work. And we've got the ability to filter these work orders. You can see I've got 281 work orders in my draft status. To effectively manage these work orders, we are going to get that down to, we might need to isolate that to a specific subset. Add filters that talk about location, meaning state, talk about when the work order was created, talk about which client that happens to be worked for, which project that happens to be a part of. So again, go ahead and isolate to that specific subset to let you effectively manage those work orders. Also, you can see that this area is built to a grid. This grid is going to allow you to configure it by status of the work order, by user. Individual control, efficiency to scale. Be able to effectively manage those work orders. And finally, here's a little indication from our Market Smart Insights feature to let us know which work orders are currently at a rate that are above the average pay rate over the last 12 months for the type of work in that particular area. That's the Flightboard. That's how work orders effectively go through the process. Now, before we can complete the life cycle, of course, we will need to choose a provider to match our needs, which has the appropriate skills to execute the work order. So let's take a look at a particular work order. I've got a work order here that happens to be a point of sale receipt printer swap out that's going to take place in the Boston area, Brockton, Massachusetts, to be specific. Now, remember, you as the buyer are in complete control of the technician selection process. You get to choose those providers based on skill sets, work history, experience, location, ratings, reliability. It's transparent. There's over 50,000 providers to choose from. The provider's complete work history is visible to you. You have the skill attributions of those providers. Know what they can do, what they've done, how well they've done it. You have the ability to curate those providers and to manage groups for long-term successful relationships. Use consistent resources, just as you would with those W-2s, just without the overhead. So let's take a look at how we do that. Well, how we do that is we start with we have a list of providers. And with this list of providers, the first thing I'm going to see is I see a photo, a name. We have a badging process on the Field Nation platform. This is going to let me know which of these providers have background screens, drug tests, they're a member of particular talent pools, or in fact, they are a business provider. We've got the ratings and endorsements. I can see that this particular provider happens to be a 5-star rated provider with multiple endorsements on the platform. We get to see their work history on the platform, number of jobs that they have completed, as well as pricing history. And this particular provider has completed in the point of sale space 446 jobs at an average rate of $52 per hour. Valuable information to me, the buyer, when looking to choose a particular provider to do this work for us. I get to see the proximity. How far is this particular provider from the location of the work? Then there is a ranking system based on criteria chosen by you. The work history, ratings, reliability, proximity, all of these things chosen by you, put together by you, and matching your desires, giving them a higher score, making sure that you choose the right provider. A couple of other things that we could take a look at is we could take a look at their assignment completion. Any other pertinent information as in when they were last active, when their next work order is, things that you deem important to making sure that you get a quality outcome on each and every one of your work orders. Now, a couple of different things about the platform to give you more information about that particular provider. First thing is we have this side drawer. This side drawer is going to be a quick glimpse into that provider. Know where they are, take a look at their ratings, see that some of the base information that we've seen before, again, those number of jobs in the area. But notice something new here. This is profile notes or work order notes. So as your team goes through the vetting process and taking a look at this particular work order, you or anyone of your team can go ahead and add notes. These notes can be, in fact, work order notes, letting me know about this particular provider's potential availability, knowing that I've spoken with them and they sound like a good fit for other members of your team, or profile notes. Excellent provider, positive customer review from work orders. Add those to the notes of your providers, have that background information. Again, build that history, build that relationship with the providers. Also, we've got the ability to take a look at the particular profile. If I go ahead and take a look at the profile of the provider, we'll take a look at Caesar's profile here. Now, think about it. This is the resume of that particular provider. Any job, we're all going to supply a resume. So this is his resume. About section is going to be his cover letter telling us about what he had, who he is, what he has done, all those things that he wants us to know about his work history. We're going to have some more detailed information about their work history. We're going to see what kind of equipment they have, any license and certifications that they may have, employment history, as well as educational background. Good information to know. Also, a completed jobs history that's going to tell us a little bit more in more detail about how they have done on the work on the platform. Still that reliability commitment. And we get to dive a little bit deeper into those ratings. And if I want to see all of the ratings that this particular provider has from the history of the platform, I get the ability to dive in and say, wow, 928 ratings, and I've got 880 of them in 5-star, 40 4-star ratings. And this happens to be a point of sale work order. I can even dig a little bit deeper and take a look at it for that specific type of work and know that it's been 176 5-star ratings and 5 4-star ratings. Great information to know. Well, remember I said that this work order was all about the receipt printer replacement? Well, even go as far as taking a look at the detailed background of this particular provider and see that if I take a look at a receipt history, I can see that this particular provider has accomplished, in fact, 3 work orders that deal with receipts. I can see there's even a receipt printer replacement. New store install, convenience store chain, return to install POS receipt. Now, it's been a couple of years for this particular provider since he's done that, but in fact, he does have the particular experience surrounding that particular skill set. See how many clients, the different clients that they worked with, lots of information about that particular provider, giving you all of the tools that you need to be able to successfully vet and select providers for all of your work orders on the platform. There are also many other advanced features and further automation available. To see them, please reach out and let us show you more in greater detail. Brendan, are there any questions today?
Awesome. Thanks you, Ted. We got quite a few questions coming in, so thank you guys. And if you have any more, please keep sending them in through the Q&A and we'll try to get them today. I've tried to answer a few of them throughout the webinar, but Ted, a few questions here for you. First one here is, can I interview the technician before selecting them to perform the work?
Absolutely. And absolutely a recommended and encouraged part of the talent vetting process. Once a provider has requested your work order, you're going to be able to have access to their phone number as well as email address to let you know that they've in fact requested that work. And you can in fact reach out, interview them, talk to them about their skill set, background, be able to get that, build that rapport with that particular technician. And in reality, the providers do in fact welcome this interaction, as they'd like to know more about you as well, because they want to make sure it's a good fit for them too, as they're going to be accomplishing their work and they're going to be rated on that work, and it's going to affect their performance on the platform moving forward as well. So yes, you can interview the technicians and it does come highly recommended.
Perfect. Another question here. Are there different access levels of the platform available? As in, can I set up only specific users to have access in specific areas on the platform?
I think I'm understanding the question, Brendan, but what I'm hearing in this is that they want their particular users to be able to do certain things on the platform and not be able to do other things on the platform. So that's how I'll address it. And yes, there are in fact 3 different user roles available on the platform. Admin users, which have access to everything. Managers will have a slightly reduced functionality of the platform, and dispatcher level. These ensure that each individual has the appropriate access level to commensurate with their duties on the platform, making sure that those dispatchers are sending out the work. They are making sure the work is complete. Maybe it's the manager or admin level that does the actual approval, as well as the creation of those templates and those kinds of things. So yes, there are different access levels to ensure that people are doing what you need them to do on the platform. No more, no less.
Awesome. Another question here is, how does Field Nation help to make sure the technicians behave properly and professionally while they're on site?
Great question. Yeah, we're dealing with people. People are definitely unpredictable at times. And we understand that you're sending someone you've never met to represent your organization and your brand. You need to know that they will do what you want them to do, what you need them to do, how that they will represent your organization properly. All providers who sign up for the Field Nation platform to be providers do sign and agree to our Provider Quality Assurance Policy, PQAP as we call it. This policy lets you know that the providers you're choosing from are all in good standing on the platform. This policy sets out the standards of proper behavior that is expected, as well as the consequences of not doing so. These consequences include suspension, even removal from the platform. We also have a 24-hour support team, 365, that's able to assist, as well as you would be assigned an account manager, as well as a customer success advocate to help you along the way to get started and work through the platform and work with you on these work orders, should there in fact become a problem with any of them.
Perfect. Another good question here that came in. Can I see what kind of interaction the providers are having with my work orders? Are they maybe looking at the work order but not requesting it? And also, are you able to negotiate the provider on their rate?
Great questions. I'll start with the first one, looking at the interaction, and a timely question, of course, because it's a brand new feature. And it would absolutely be helpful, of course, to know what's going on with that work order. And yes, you can. It's called provider engagement. So you've always been able to see how many providers have requested your work. Now you're going to be able to see how many providers have opened it, looked at it, and viewed it as well. So that if in fact you have a high viewing rate, but not necessarily a high request rate, maybe there's something we need to take a look at with that work order. Do we have potentially an unclear scope of work? Do we have potentially a rate that needs to be adjusted to match that of the market? Whatever types of things that we might need to address with that as well. And help me again, Brandon, with the second part of that question.
They were just curious to know if you were able to, how the negotiation works.
Negotiation. Field Nation is not a bidding platform. Let me make that perfectly clear. Field Nation is not a bidding platform. However, Field Nation's platform does allow for our providers to counter offer the work orders. Meaning, if you, the buyer, set a work order for Monday at 8 a.m. with a rate of $50 per hour, and it's in downtown Boston, similar to this. That provider can actually counter offer that work order based on the rate, meaning that's a great work order, sir. However, I'm going to need a little bit more money to do that because it's going to take me a little longer. It's going to have to travel there, whatever the case may be. Or that's a wonderful work order, but I can't do it on Monday. Tuesday would be much better. So they can counter offer based on schedule, pick another day, see if that's agreeable to you, or a particular expense. Excuse me, Mr. Buyer, that this is a great work order. However, it's in downtown Boston. It's going to cost me $20 to park my car. So I would like you to compensate me for that $20 to park my car. So yes, counter offering is available. Negotiating and bidding, no. Again, you, the buyer, set the rate. Provider can offer a different price, and it's up to you to accept it or decline.
Perfect. Another good one here, and thank you guys for all the wonderful questions coming in. What kind of automation features are available that help speed and scale the process to get several work orders handled quickly and effectively?
Ooh, excellent question. Automation is everywhere on the platform. There is the ability to literally create thousands of work orders with a few clicks of the mouse, have things set up in the platform by your team to automatically assign your choosing providers to those work orders, and even take it to the final step to even automatically approve those work orders, again, with qualifications and ideals set up by yourself. So automation is everywhere, from creation of work orders to assignment of work orders to approval of work orders. Because again, this is to be built at scale. We do better when you do better. We do more when you do more. Hundreds to thousands of work orders all the time. Because again, think about it, 1 million work orders are going through the platform each year. We have to do them quickly. We have to do it fast because your business depends on it.
Perfect. One more question here, and we'll have to wrap up the Q&A. And if there's any that we missed today, we'll be sure to follow up after the webinar. You showed the overall work history of the providers on the platform as part of the vetting process. How do you keep track of providers that I've used in the past and maybe want to use them again or not want to use them again? And also know what kind of work they have done in the past?
Excellent question. The wonderful part about that is you, the buyer, you don't have to. The platform does it for you. When you see the work history of a particular provider, the platform differentiates the work into two categories: the work that has been done on the platform and the work that has been done for your company. So that you're going to see the particular history that a provider has with your company by work type. So if they've done any point of sale work for you, as opposed to maybe they haven't done any networking work for you. So you have that differentiation between the work done for you and the work done for the platform. At which point you also have the ability to curate those technicians and again, put them into those specific pools of talent for reuse, again, based on that particular history. Create what's called smart talent pools, manage that talent pool, make sure that those providers are staying within the category bounds of which you create based on their star rating, based on their background check, based on their drug testing history. All of those things to help you differentiate and know those providers who have worked for you in your company and those who have not.
Awesome. Well, with that, looks like we're a little over time here. So thank you everybody for attending today. We'll wrap up the Q&A now. We will have a recording of the webinar today sent out to everyone, so you can expect to get that in the next 24 hours. Huge thanks again to you, Ted, for taking the time today. We all really enjoyed hearing from you, and thank you to everyone who attended for all of the great questions you asked. And like I said, if we did not get to your question today, I see there's a couple left in here. We will be sure to follow up after the webinar as well. And again, if you have any additional questions or just thoughts, comments, anything like that, don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can feel free to book time with our team to go through your own personalized demo specific to your own business. And we would look forward to talking with you.
Thank you all for attending and have a great day. Appreciate it.